Hi there, welcome back to the YouTube channel. Please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And don't forget, at the end of the video, leave a comment and leave a like or a dislike. If you're going to leave either, leave me a comment just so I can do it and tell you what I'm thinking of it. Okay, so back to Golgari today. And today's video is kind of an old school take on elves. And by old school, I mean we've gone back to Golgari for elves. Not quite sure why this came out in Aftermath, but you know, basically we've had another planeswalker who's lost their spark, and we've gone to Tyvar, the Bellicose, 2 black and green for a 5/4 elf warrior. And whenever one or more elves you control attack, they gain death touch until the end of turn, so yeah, makes the elf tribe a little more powerful. But each creature you control has, whenever a mana ability of this creature resolves, put a number of +1/+1 counters on it equal to the amount of mana this creature produces. This ability triggers only once each turn. So basically, every time you tap your elf for 1 green mana or 1 black mana, depending on the elf, you're going to make it +1/+1 bigger. Okay then. Yeah, so basically it's a new version of black, red, green elf ball. And the deck is very much this today. We've got Command Tower, Fabled Passage, Field of the Dead, a whole load of forests, a few of the black green lands that come along, few swamps, and then Tainted Wood, Temple of the False God, Undergrowth Sanctum, Urborg, Woodland Cemetery, and Yavimaya. Unfortunately for this one, I have been saying recently that you don't need to play Urborg and Yavimaya, but this one you really do. The other side of the ramp side is we've got Mox Tantalite, Soul Talisman, Jeweled Lotus. That can come out. That can just be any other thing you want in. I've just put it in because I own one, and we want to make sure Tyvar comes down as soon as possible. So that's why it's here. Soul Ring, Charcoal Diamond, Moss Diamond, and Talisman of Resilience. We don't need to go really more heavier in that because most of the elves we're playing are 1-drops, 2-drops, 3-drops, and a little bit up the top end to get us there. So we've got Elves of Deep Shadow. Yes, it does damage juice. It's a little bit painful, but you know, it taps for black, and when we've got it and tap it with Tyvar in play, it gets bigger. So we're not going to complain too much. Elvish Mystic, Fire Nord Elves, Llanowar Elves, the traditional elves are here. I've also put in Essence Warden because we are doing to drop a lot of elves, so we can gain a fair amount of life. And obviously that offsets the Elves of Deep Shadow pain occasionally. Hardened Scales makes another appearance in a deck I've been doing recently. We're putting +1/+1 counters on mana ramp creatures basically, so it makes sense to have this in here. Elixir of Immortality also shows its face because this one, no real removal in the deck, and we're going for another kind of beatdown thing. We're playing 41 creatures, 24 other spells, so we're going for the beatdown route. So they're going to get wiped. We need to get them back in our library somehow. Elixir does that. Over on the 2-drop, we've got Beastcaller Savant. Basically, any elf I'm going to just say this. Any elf that really taps for mana is in here. So Beastcaller Savant, Bloom Tenderer, Elfheim Druid, Elvish Visionary Jaws card, obviously. Elvish Beastmaster, Warmaster gives us more elves and a way to give them pump up those elves. So that's there. Farseek to go and get a swamp if we need it. Incubation Druid taps for mana. Nature's Law gets us a forest. The Ozolith, obviously, we're going for +1/+1 counters, so that's here as well. Paradise Druid is nice because it does have hexproof, so unless it's tapped, we got a nice little hard to remove blocker. Rampant Growth, 3 visits for the ramp. And the Guild Mage comes in for this one. Give it Intimidate is quite nice, and we can sacrifice a non-token creature and get a whole load of saplings if we need to at some stage, just so we've got those instant blockers, which is quite nice. The other one we've dropped in, Metallic Mimic. We're going to chuck +1/+1 counters around. We might as well try and make him bigger as we go through it. So this comes in, naming elf. Serpent Souljar is an interesting card that came from the Kaldheim Commander deck. A lot of these cards, you will recognise, come from that lovely pre-con deck you could buy on MTGO because they're just so good. They might as well be here. But Serpent Souljar I think is worth pointing out. Whenever an elf you control dies, exile it, tap it, pay 2 life. Until the end of turn, you may cast a creature spell from among the cards exiled with Serpent Souljar. So, it gives us a way to recycle our elves as well. Cultivate gets us a forest and a swamp. Elvish Rejuvenator goes and finds us a land of any type. Evolution Sage is here to proliferate as we drop the lands into play. Growing Rights to ramp it up and gives us our 35th land, because when you're playing 34, because it's a low number in this deck. Perfect makes everything, Prefect, Perfect, Imperious Perfect, whatever. Makes our elves bigger, and then there's another way of producing the tokens. Cammy's here, one of the few non-elf creatures in the deck, just to do the +1/+1 counters. Nissa appears once more, might as well have this in to go and find a land. And Numa Jogan Chieftain from the original Commanders set. At beginning of combat on your turn, pay XX. When you do, distribute X +1/+1 counters amongst any number of target elves. Gets our elves bigger really quick with the +1/+1 counters. Rex Sage, just so we control the board a little bit. Reese the Exiled, because we might as well, sacrifice an elf and regenerate this, and gain the life when we attack with Reese. Raksha Pima Renegade also in. Each creature you control with a counter on it has tap, add green. That makes our deck very bigger, very much powerful, very, very good as things go along. Yeah. Search for Tomorrow for a bit of land ramp. Serpent Blade Assailant. The backup creature's a bit weak, but it's got Death Touch, and it puts a +1/+1 counter on something else, like, it's Visionary that we might need it for, to pump for mana. Archdruid, no brainer in this deck, along with Azuri Renegade Leader. Regenerate another elf. An elf creature you control get +3/+3 and trample until the end of turn for 5 mana. We should be able to hit that quite happily, especially with Circle of Dreams Druid in play. Landwild Tribe, add 3 mana, why not? And then some of the more random black-green elves. So Abomination of Landwilds here. Lanawa, sorry. Equal power and toughness equals the number of elves we control and the ones in our graveyards. That's quite cool. Harold, King of Skefmar. Look at the top 5 cards of our library. Get an elf or Tyvar card from among them and put them into your hand. So, yeah. Gives us a way to go and get some more elves that we might need. And Shaman of the Pack, probably the win condition in the deck. We'll have a lot of elves in play. We should be able to drain someone out with this card quite happily most of the time. Tyvar in the Planeswalker form appears from All Will Be One. You may activate abilities of creatures you control as though those creatures had haste. So that means with this in play, all your elves that produce mana can literally come in and tap for mana instantly. And we get to untap a creature as well, which is really nice. And then you get to mill 3 cards, and then you may return a creature card with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Not so much use. The +1's really good though. Heraldic Banner comes in, because we're obviously going to choose green for this. Everything in the deck is green virtually, so no point not having it in. And then we get to tap it for green. And Herald's Horn. We're playing an elf tribal deck. If anything belongs in a tribal deck, it's the Horn itself. The other one that I think is worth pointing out is Urza's Incubator. Yes, it gives everyone the benefit, but you're going to drop it and play elves. There's not many people going to be playing an elf deck against you, I'd hope. And dropping the cost of 2 of all your creatures by 2 is really nice. Especially, Tyvar, if you need to. It is an elf and it still benefits from the cost reduction. Nice card. Forgot it's existed. Glad I remembered about it when I was building this deck. Accomplished Alchemist. We're gaining life, obviously, off the Essence Warden and maybe through attacking one wherever it's gone. Reese the Exiled. So, this could produce a lot of mana if we need it to. Canopy Technician pumps up our elves, gives us another way of getting 3 mana. Just remember, whenever a mana ability of this creature resolves, put a number of +1/+1 counters on it equal to the amount of mana this creature produced. This gives you +3/+3 every time you tap it, so it soon goes quite high up in the world. Ivy Lane Denizen, just to put some +1/+1 counters on a creature when another one comes into play. Oracle of Muldai, gets more lands into play really quickly. Beast Whisperer to draw those cards as you play your elves. Daiwen Glint Leaf Diane. Reach. Other elves you control get +1/+1, and when it attacks, you gain 1 life for each attacking elf. Nice. And, as I said, this was the original Commander deck, so Lathriel, Blade of the Elves, is also here. It's got Menace, and when it deals combat damage to a player, create that many 1/1 Elf Warrior tokens. And then you get to tap it, and each opponent loses 10 and you gain 10. This wins the game really quickly, and it gives you a massive target on your head when you play it. Believe me, I've been there, I've done it, I've got that t-shirt. Poison tipped archer. Death touch, reach. Whenever another creature dies, each opponent loses a life. It's quite nice in this deck. And Golgari Fine Broker. Enter the battlefield, return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. You've got your little bit of extra recursion that you might need. And that's really all the creatures taken care of, apart from one or two. The high costing stuff, we've got Vanquisher's Banner, because we'll name Elf and draw more cards. Invasion of Lorwyn, because it's an elf deck, you might as well play the invasion, and it's quite nice. Enters battlefield, destroy target non-elf creature an opponent controls with power X or less, where X is the number of lands you control. So casting this early or late is really good. And then it flips into a elf warrior who has power and toughness equals the number of lands you control once you get it through. And obviously it's an elf ball deck. There's only one thing you're going to play to win this game. That's going to be Crate Hoof. And you're going to get Crate Hoof off quite quickly with this deck. Just to go smack, here you are, you're done, you're gone, game over. I play Crate Hoof in my modern elf deck, and people get upset by it. Believe me, been there, done that. It's fun. Maybe that's me just being twisted in my head as I'm recording this video, but I enjoy playing this. But that's it. It is really very much a simple beatdown elf deck. It's interesting that we got two black and green commanders. Obviously I did covered Glisser the other week. I could have put Glisser in here, I decided against it. But Tyvar, yep, okay, another elf, another black green Golgari elf that comes in Aftermath. I think it's going to be good. It's not going to replace, I don't see it replacing our wonderful Lathuel as the top elf commander ever, but I think it's going to be, it's either going to show up in the deck, this deck's going to be modified to play Tyvar, or it's going to be changing around. But that's it. The video's a bit shorter today, I realise that, so thank you for taking your time to watch this video today. I really appreciate you being here. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I hope you've hit the subscribe button. You'll come back and watch some more, or go back and watch some of the 250-ish videos already got up here. Hopefully you'll hit the subscribe button and help me get towards my 1,000-person target eventually. That'd be lovely. But even if I get to 250 by the end of July, I'll be happy. And yeah, that's it really. So thanks for watching. Leave a comment, let me know what I've missed out. I'll go and I can quite happily edit this deck, or come and see me over on Twitch and watch me play the deck when this video goes out. And you can come and tell me off in the chat then what I've done wrong in the deck. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and hopefully you'll stop by and watch the video that's coming up soon. Take care. Bye.